market news first. News you can trust.
Saul Albom Microcap Engine, thank you so much for joining us. And again, we have Richard Gabriel right now on deck, giving us an extra 10-15 minutes if we can get it out from him, and we appreciate him joining us. So DNAprint Genomics, he is the CEO. Again, ticker symbol DNAG. DNAG. Richard, this is Saul. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
All right. Now, you were talking about distribution and market awareness for your products. Like I said, telling the viewers that this could potentially be used all over the world to help with crime, to help with diabetes recognition. So again, tell us about your distribution and your market awareness programs as best you can.
Well, we have a number of distributors, and we're always looking for global distributors. So we have about a dozen distributors right now for the Ancestry products. We're the only company that does this right now to be able to look at across your entire DNA. And we also have a group in California that specializes in ancient DNA. So we've done ancient DNAs. This is the mitochondrial test, which is the mother to mother to mother, and the father to father to father test. And those really are tests that are specialized, and but they're also available to the consumer as well. So we've looked at ancient DNAs up to 5,000 years old. So there's a whole consumer product line there. We also use that same technology in the forensics area, but the much bigger application for this technology is in the healthcare area. And we announced at our shareholders meeting in June that we were doing a spin-out of the pharmaceutical company. We have some diagnostics and some products there, and it basically boils down to that we're going to do this spin-out as we announced with the shareholders. We're in the process of doing that, filing the necessary papers with the SEC, and then at that point everyone will know what it is that we're going to be doing. But the basic strategy is to include our shareholders in a distribution of the equity of that company. Also, the parent company will retain a percentage of the spin-out company, and the parent company receives a royalty back from revenues, so that over the long term, the parent still retains a hold on it. Now, the beauty of this technology is that the technology will stay within the parent, and we can go out and essentially build another pharmaceutical or another diagnostic company out of the parent using the same technology, because once you've identified the markers for an individual with diabetes that are true genetic markers, that you can determine their state, and we have a product right now called Protectin that is rapidly moving through the development cycle. But the basis for that determination is your genetic ancestry. Think of it as a grid on which that you can evaluate the test data. And the problem with most of the markers that are out there today in the market is that they are not ancestry independent. And so what that means is they're subject to the distribution of that gene across global populations. The only way to figure out whether you have a true marker is to use genetic ancestry as a screen for knocking out all those other ones that are ancestry informative linked. And then once you've identified that you have a true marker for a disease, then you can test anyone in the world with
Okay, speaking of testing, I'm getting two questions here in the chat rooms.
Great.
One is, can someone's DNA be manipulated or changed? And also, same fellow who's asking about the military application, asking if you are working for the military or have any military contracts.
Well, I can't answer the question about if we're working for the military. That's just like I can't answer questions about. I will say that we are pursuing that.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be able to answer any detailed questions about that.
Okay.
I can only say that there is a strong interest by the military in this technology for obvious reasons. We Also can't talk about what agencies that we work with, or whether agencies have used it, other than the ones that have gone public, like we've worked for Scotland Yard.
Okay.
And various police and city agencies across the United States that have gone public. We can talk about those. So that's a very limited dialogue. But I will say this has profound applications in the military as well as in intelligence work.
Okay,
and that's about all I can say.
Okay, and then Moto asks out of the chat room, can someone's DNA be manipulated or changed?
No, not. We don't. The person's DNA that we take is their DNA. It is. We treat it as a precious commodity. We don't, use that for any other means. It's protected under U.S. law. It is that person's DNA, and if we ask them, well, what do you want us to do with it? Destroy it, send it back to you, whatever. It's your DNA, it's your data. You do with it what you want. We're not in the business of manipulating genes. Can genes be manipulated? There's enough technology out there that says yes. Are people doing it? Some are, but not us. We're not interested in that part of it.
All right, and again, we have Richard Gabriel, the CEO of DNAprint Genomics, ticker symbol GNAG. That's a DNAG. Now, I'm looking at the stock here, and I did mention this to you before the show, and although up a little bit today, it's been on a steady decline down. What can you say about that?
Well, I can only say that, the funding mechanism that was available to us, and it's all over our SEC site. I would encourage people to go to the SEC site and look up all of our documents. Everything that we do is in the public light. We're a public company, and this funding mechanism that we have, as called a PIPE, has gotten into regulatory review with the SEC. There was a period of about a year where the SEC was looking at these particular financing mechanisms, and so consequently that funding stream dried up for us. So we had to resort to looking for other sources of capital, which is what we're doing now. We're looking for bridge capital, and we're also looking, of course, the sum of the part, or the parts are greater than the sum of the whole. And so when a CEO is faced with that reality, we find, and history tells us, that if you don't do something about it, someone else will. So we have, we're looking for ways to reward our shareholders, and this was one of the mechanisms that we think would be good for the shareholders, which is basically get the pharmaceutical and diagnostic product out into a market that appreciates it. And, we're well on that road.
All right, Richard, I'm going to give you the floor and the last word to address your shareholders and potential shareholders out there. We have just about a minute left, so I'm going to give you, again, the last word. Go ahead.
Well, thank you very much. What DNAprint Genomics is striving to do is to build a pharmaceutical and diagnostics company. And that has always been our goal. We have major efforts, though, in the consumer area as well as in the forensics, and we use that for cash flow. What we are hoping to do is to find bridge capital, as well as looking to host and list our spin-out company on one of the exchanges, and we're well on the road to do that. So I want to thank all of our shareholders and thank everyone for the support that we've gotten over the last several years, and we look forward to a brighter future.
All right,
Thank
Richard, we'll be watching you guys. Fascinating technologies. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Oh, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
All right, guys, with that, are we going to go ahead and move to a break, my friends?